Hey, welcome to the Restoration Soul Care Podcast, where we have honest conversations about faith, neuroscience, and hope. I'm Michael Camber, a relationship and recovery coach.
And I'm Nick Buddha, a mental health and relationship coach. If you feel stuck in shame, addiction, or pain, you don't have to face it alone. Join us for some real stories, real tools, and a real path forward. Let's dive in.
Hey, welcome back to the Restoration Soul Care Podcast. My name is Michael Camber. This is Nicholas Buddha, my dear friend and colleague. And what we have for you today is something pretty interesting, something telling, and it's sort of this twofold thing that I think we get into, where I'm deeply horrified or terrified of these true realities, but also deeply encouraged at the same time.
Yeah. I think what we want to start by saying is, I am sure, actually, here's the proof of it. We have received comments on our podcast that, this whole focus of warning people about pornography and helping them escape from it is a very religion-focused, morality-focused thing. And what we want to suggest today is actually there is a movement outside of even what is considered Christian or the church or religious in general that are saying, you know what? Porn's a giant problem.
Yeah.
And I'm getting out of it.
Yeah.
And what we want to focus on today is actually some pretty notable figures in our culture. We call them celebrities, saying, not only has porn been a part of my life, but I am going to be forthright in saying I am actively either taking steps to remove it from my life, or I have done that and I'm conscientiously avoiding it altogether.
Right.
I think it's so noteworthy. Most of the people that we're going to even mention in today's episode, you'll definitely be familiar with them. But most, I don't think, even necessarily come from a religious worldview, whether that be Christian or not.
Right.
I think most would be considered just, a non-religious figure.
Aspiritual.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you've ever thought, I don't really know anybody that struggles with porn, we're going to ruin your day.
And also, we're going to confirm you're not alone.
Yeah.
Here's how we'd like to structure this episode, too. Michael and I did some research of a lot of celebrities who have spoken about this and just kind of compiled some bottom line complaints. Maybe another way of saying it is, a lot of people have been speaking about this, and there are some common denominators of why they view porn as a problem and how it took a toll or how it caused damage in their life. And we just want to kind of focus on three common denominators that are repeated in all these different interviews and articles and statements that these celebrities have made. And so here's the first idea, is this point that people become objects when you are frequently using porn.
Yeah.
We use the term objectification. Here's an interesting thing. So Terry Crews, my kids love America's Got Talent. He hosts that. How do you know Terry Crews?
Probably from Adam Sandler movies.
Really? Yeah. So he's super buff guy. I think he was in the Expendable movies, right?
He was in the Expendable movies.
Action character, funny guy. He said this. He's come into the kind of the interview scene lately, and I do actually think I would preface it and say he has mentioned faith is a factor for him personally, but he's been really forthright with saying his marriage struggled for a long time. I don't know in all the ins and outs of that, but one of the dynamics he said that was impactful to that and other things was pornography.
Yep.
And so in a Men's Health, actually, magazine article, they interviewed him. And one specific thing that he said is he could see porn being a problem because he started to see people only for their body parts. Is exactly how he said it.
Yep.
I was like, wow, okay. This is significant. And then here's another thing that surprised me. Pamela Anderson. For those of us who are familiar with the porn industry. So Pamela Anderson, actress who was a model for much of her life, significant with Playboy movies. Interesting. She has come full circle in her later years of life and has reflected on pornography, especially where it has come since she first started in the sex industry, and said basically in her interview that she sees pornography as replacing sex as a matter of intimacy between people and more just a matter of consumption, which is so huge. So just with even those two perspectives and voices, what comes to mind for you, Michael, when you think about like objectification, or what are you hearing from other celebrities that are saying, hey, part of the problem is like this changes the way I see people?
Yeah, well, it's so funny that we bring the celebrity idea into this conversation, because I think in some ways celebrity culture, if you will, I think in some ways already objectifies people.
Yeah.
And I think some of the outworking or the evidence of that is like the level of plastic surgery or like fillers and stuff you see in people's faces. But and the idea is that my value is in my appearance. It's in how I look. It's in my body parts, and whether the plastic surgery stays in the face or it goes below the neck.
Yeah.
Either way, the idea is that there's a modification to the body so that I find value in somebody else's eyes, right?
Yeah.
And I know not in all circumstances. I realize there's medical conditions and things of that nature that plastic surgery can help restore and things of that nature. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the thing that you stated first, which is I think what Terry Crews is getting at, is it the objectification of people. I don't see people for people created in God's image. I see body parts.
Yeah.
And if I'm approaching another human being and all I can see from 10 feet away is, various body parts, and I'm already assessing my level of engagement that I'm going to give to you because I think you are attractive or I think you are elevated socially because of the way that your body parts present, or you present your body parts rather to the world. It throws off the whole dynamic of how we even relate, because it's not about you anymore. It's, in a lot of ways, it's still sort of in this, I'm going to use the term masturbatory because it's for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like the way that I consume your body parts as I'm approaching you or looking at you is for me.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I would say if that's if you're trained to increasingly see people that way, then really relationships in general, I would see being very transactional.
Yep.
Like your value is only how you present.
Yeah. And if that value gets called into question, then I might leave the relationship.
Yeah.
I'm going to take us down a rabbit hole. I'm actually not going to take us. I just want to say, I wonder if there's some unintentional thought process behind why divorce has gotten so prevalent, or maybe even why people just don't even get married as much as they used to, because it's like, well, you might age and sag in some places, and I might have to trade you in for a newer model, and I'd really like to not be committed financially, relationally, socially to you.
Yeah, it's such a fascinating thing to zoom out and think about the implications. And again, I don't know where Terry or Pamela are spiritually or worldview-wise, but it's very interesting that they both have concluded very strongly that sucks. When you start to do life that way, when you interact with people that way, it sucks. Because the other part of it is, if you relate that way, you probably also see yourself that way. And so, and here's what's interesting. Both of those individuals have a lot of what we would call outward beauty. Mm-hmm. Like Terry Crews is incredibly jacked, handsome guy, very fit. Pam Anderson's been celebrated for her outward beauty, and it's like, even that wasn't enough. So it was like, but there's also something more I could have that would make me more beautiful. And it's this endless pursuit of, it's something physical, it's something outward, and how unsatisfying and actually, I don't even know what the word, taxing that is to live that way. Always coming up short.
Yeah, you said something I want to make sure that we don't skip over, because this is like an aha moment for a lot of guys that I work with. It's easy. It's more familiar when we talk about how objectification is so prevalent and like how we objectify other people. The thing that flies under the radar quite a bit for us is that there's also a self-objectification that occurs, especially when we go to pornography over time, habitually, repeatedly. What we start to do is we start to notice is I'm not built like the actors in pornography. And so if I'm not, then I'm less than. Or I'm only good to other people. I'm only good to women. if I am, 6'3" and stacked like Terry Crews. Not that
Yeah.
nothing's wrong with that. But it's when you define yourself by that and then you start to say, well, I'm only good in the world. I only matter to people. I'm only good to myself. I only matter to me if I am, this picture of physique or whatever you want to call it. It's really hard to believe that you matter, and it's really hard to trust that people will show up for you just because you're you, not because you look a certain way or act a certain way or bring something to the table.
And let me give you a little sneak peek of what we do behind the scenes in the one-on-one work that we do with individuals is we try to show them that the desire, that felt longing for value and acceptance and even admiration, that's God-given.
Yeah.
It's not wrong, but it's so misdirected. So when I think of those two individuals, Terry Crews or Pamela Anderson, man, they're speaking for all of us that are saying, man, I just long to be desired. We've mentioned the quote before by Kurt Thompson, that we're born into the world looking for someone who's looking for us.
Yeah.
We will go to any length to make ourselves feel that we're desired, that we're significant. And so we want to affirm that, but also say we were created for it, and there's an intentional way of how that need is met. And when we settle for this model of relating, it only leads to a lot of destruction and brokenness. It kind of leads into the second theme that comes up frequently, and that is it actually builds on this first point. Once people become objects, when we start to relate in a transactional way, there's never enough. And so then you fall into this, you just mentioned it. There's this cycle, endless cycle of needing more and more to be satisfied. And so that's actually what the second theme that we've seen from a lot of these celebrity quotes is there's no end. There's always this escalating pursuit of, I need more to get the same return. And so this actually gets into addiction language of tolerance, right? Where you're, the thing that once brought you pleasure ceases to do so, and so you need either a higher intensity, a more extreme version of it, and often those higher intensities and more extreme versions come with greater damage over time. So interesting enough, Billie Eilish, right, who's been hugely successful, very young lady, has come forward actually in a Howard Stern interview a couple years ago. And she was saying, not only did she use pornography, but one of the first things that she knew she could kind of step back outside of herself and see what was happening is, the porn that she started with quickly became centered around the dynamic of more violence or abuse or just aggression. And she's like, wait, what is this? And I find myself almost naturally drawn into that. What's going on? Man, that in and of itself, I have so much admiration for her being transparent about that, because a lot of people are not talking about even that dynamic in the porn industry. I don't know. We just said it before we were recording. You said how much percentage of statistics are made up.
Do you need to make up some statistics?
I don't. Okay. I don't know the source,
okay.
But there has been multiple enterprises. There's been multiple people that have kind of taken a swab of what's offered on the internet today. And the vast majority, I won't even put a percentage, the vast majority of content involves aggression, involves some sort of interaction that if it happened, even in a non-sexual way, if that kind of relational dynamic happened, you'd be like, that's abusive.
Yeah.
That's not okay.
Yeah.
But yet that's the majority dynamic within pornography that's being consumed on the internet. So, gosh.
I'm trying to remember. I was listening to, I think it was a podcast the other day. Oh, I remember now. I remember what podcast it was. But there was a woman who was a sexologist or a expert in sexuality or something, and she was talking about the violent nature of pornography. And she was, I think she showed a chart. I'm misremembering it now, but she was talking about how much pornography, choking was the thing she was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
How much choking has escalated in pornographic videos over the last like 15 or 20 years, and it's like a staggering amount
Yeah.
of staggering increase. So like the violence is there, it's growing. It's just like, man, that's the question that I like that Billie Eilish asked that. What are we even doing?
Yeah.
What is this?
Yeah. I like what happened. Like I'm realizing what has gone by, and I'm pretty sure most of this happened within her teenage years.
Yeah.
She was one of many to admit that, you know, her first exposure to pornography was what we would call pre-adolescence, you know? Here's another thing that was interesting. I got into a rabbit hole of looking at some of this, and Steve-O.
Steve-O.
Do you remember from the Jackass movies?
I remember.
Man, has he been on a journey, and I admire what is happening in his life. You know, he's talked frequently that he feels like he has an addictive personality, and he's struggled with substances. But on this one interview he had recently, within the last couple of years, he was talking about, he made an offside comment, and the interviewer was thrown off. He's like, oh yeah, and I went to an inpatient program for sex addiction. And the guy's like, wait, what? Like, you don't just throw that out. And he slowed down and he said, yeah, you know, what started with pornography quickly turned into just kind of compulsively sleeping with people when they were on the road and promoting movies. And he's like, I don't even know these people's names. And these kind of just, again, that transactional way of just treating people was one thing. But then he said, I found this dependency on it. Like when I go to a city or when I have even a relationship, that's just something I have to have. And when I don't have it, it just leaves me feeling awful.
Yeah.
And so he wrestled with this compulsion that he said it felt just like cocaine. It felt like alcoholism, but it was with people. And so he was forthright with going into, I think it was like a 30 or 60 day inpatient program, and then made he said he made a personal commitment based off some of his therapist's recommendation to abstain from all forms of sexual interaction for over a year.
Wow.
Just because he felt like it had such a stronghold in his life. So, man.
That takes a lot of courage.
Yeah. Yeah, but it also speaks to something that happens with a lot of guys too, which is what I started with in my teens maybe was some curiosity, and I'm looking at magazines or photos or whatever in high school, and now it's turned into massage parlors, and I'm considering prostitutes, and it's like, hey, that doesn't always happen to every guy, but at the same time, there's a natural inclination towards it to say, I need more to keep up the same feeling. It's a scary progression.
Yeah. And the thing that's also, I think, scary for me that I'm noticing with clients now is the lines between those things get blurrier and blurrier. And it doesn't feel like there's like a extra hurdle or barrier that it takes to get to the next step. Because even if you just briefly as an example, talk about like just going on the internet and accessing pornography. Well, there used to be this hard barrier between that and like paying for pornography, because you used to have to go to a store and buy physical media. And now you don't. Like you can also just use your credit card and pay for stuff online. And now the barrier between that and interacting with a real person, again, used to be a barrier. Now it's less of a barrier because you can pay for content from a real person just as easy as you could just pay for content that's just mass produced.
That's a good point.
And then the next obvious step from there is like, well, I've already interacted with a real person, so why not just drive to a massage parlor?
Yeah.
Why not just go, actually find like a prostitute somewhere?
Yeah.
Why not just go get on a dating app that my spouse doesn't know about and just start hooking up with people left and right? It's like, it's all the barriers that used to exist between the levels aren't the hurdles aren't as high anymore, I think is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So it's easy to wake up one morning and go, oh gosh, what have I done? I'm on step 10 of, how did I get here? How did I end up at massage parlors?
Yeah.
When it's like, well, I was just using porn last week. I didn't think I was this far along.
Yeah. Which leads to this kind of final dynamic that we love really highlighting, and so we'll kind of end here. And that is, when this struggle becomes a compulsive thing and it begins to train us, we're conditioned by it. We've used that term before. The biggest thing that is damaged is how we show up relationally. Yep. And so, I want to spend our last few minutes here. I compiled a list of quotes. Again, going back to Terry Crews in the interview in the Men's Health magazine, he said, quote, "My wife literally said, 'I don't know you anymore.'" And man, how telling was that they lived a ton of life. I believe they've been married over 20 years. And she saw in real time how her husband was changing.
Yeah.
Significantly from this dynamic and others. Theo Von, right? He's got the incredible podcast right now. Started in reality TV. Man, he's been forthright in some of his podcast, like his solo podcasts. What was the name of it again? Oh, it's the Past Weekend podcast. And he said with tears how he's making an intentional effort to step away from pornography because he saw this deeper and deeper cycle of loneliness. And what was the other word he mentioned? Oh, and just like depression. As a, hey, I act out, and then I find myself deeper falling into this dip. And here's the big thing I wanted to point out. He said, "I've never felt so isolated relationally. And really, none of my other relational dynamics have changed. I just feel more cut off from them."
Yeah.
Man, and I can bring others. Another one that was surprising to me, Chris Rock, the comedian, incredibly successful. He said the biggest warning sign for him is he saw that his use of porn and other things had downloaded a preset list of expectations and desires immediately as he showed up into a relationship, which were unrealistic and destructive to the woman.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow. Okay, so so much to say here. What do you want to say first before I give just a quick thought?
I think you go ahead and give your thought.
The big thing I want to encourage people with when they're listening to this is this idea that, again, the struggle with pornography or any other sexual dynamic is not a biological issue or a moral issue alone, but at its very core, this is a relational issue. It's a relational breakdown. We've said that before, but the reason why I say that this is so important is because for those who are seeing the damage in their life, if the answer to this issue is self-effort or, just filters, just abstinence, and not a deeper look into the core of a person, of who they are relationally and who is around them relationally, then goodness, there's never going to be an answer to that deep pain that they're carrying around.
Yeah.
So, I'm so thankful that even people, again, who are not coming from a Christian worldview are saying, man, there's just like this hole. There's this pain that not only has been the reason why I've continually gone to pornography, but pornography has just made it worse, is I guess what I want to point out. You go for it.
What I try to communicate to people, or maybe I don't say this to people directly because I don't want to give them inappropriate expectations. I can show you the steps to quit porn, and you can do it in a few weeks. But what I have learned, and what I have observed this hundreds of times in people that I've coached and that we've coached, is that if we don't deal with the wounding or the pain underneath it, it'll come back. It just will. Or you'll find something else that's as destructive but maybe more culturally or relationally palatable that we wouldn't go, oh, this is a problem. This is like, oh, he just has a really strong hobby. He's just really into sports.
Yeah.
Like those things are masking something. So if we have to do the deeper work of getting into like, where's the pain? That's what I love that question. Where's the pain? What hurts? Because we can figure that out and start working there. Like this is the thing I don't say out loud because people usually look at me where they don't believe it. Like porn will you'll eventually just quit. Like it'll go away if we deal with the root issues. Does that make sense?
Yes. And that's what we love doing, is saying, actually, let's focus on the real cancer that's eating away. And by a complete correlation, the desire for porn will naturally go away. Here's kind of the quote I wanted to say. I wrote it down. Our souls are sustained by communion, not consumption. So, goodness.
That's it.
Yeah. What we want to say to all people is you were created for, or you operate, whether you view you have a creator or not, you operate with a need for connection. And if you live by the idea of consumption, what new experience, what new thing can try to satisfy me, not only will it come up empty, but it'll take way more than it gives. And if you stumble on this beautiful way, which we believe is part of God's design and what Jesus has secured, is this beautiful thing called relationship on his terms, it is so what our soul needs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amen.
As we wrap up, we want to encourage anybody who's listening to say, like, if there's an aspect of what we talked about today that resonates with you, maybe has put a little light bulb on and say, oh, that's it. That describes where I'm at. Please reach out. You can go to rscky.com. You can follow us on our socials, which is at Nick W. Buddha.
At Mike Camber with a K.
Yep. Instagram. Shoot us a message. We will always reply.
Yes.
And let us know how we can help. Again, whether that translates into a coaching, counseling relationship, whether that is just a conversation, whether it's pointing you to some good resources, we just want to help. Yeah. Free. The quit. Oh, I can't. There's a tongue twister.
It's a tongue twister.
The Quit Porn Quick Start Guide. That's available for free. On the website.
rscky.com/quickstart. Or you can shoot me a text and I'll send you a physical copy, 502-858-5859. Or, the final way, if you're feeling frisky and you're thinking there's a group of us, we want to go through this together, you can order multiple copies off Amazon.
That's a great idea. Awesome. Hey, as we always say every week, don't do this alone. And we'll catch you guys next time.
Hey, thanks for joining us today. If you found this helpful, do us a huge favor and subscribe on YouTube or your favorite podcast app. Or, better yet, send this to someone who needs encouragement.
For more tools, resources, and information about our coaching, check out rscky.com. Keep showing up.
Yeah, we'll catch you next time.